2021.
We did it.
I know, we made it.
Everything is fixed.
Yeah, mic drop, done. Actually, no, everything's kind of still the same. But with the new year, again, New Year's resolutions, some goals. Do you have any New Year's resolutions or goals, or what's going on with you?
I'm going to get, as I mentioned last time, I'm going to get one vaccination in each arm. So I'll be doubly vaccinated.
Hashtag goals.
Yep. So my running goals this month, I figure we're just going to talk about my running on S&P. So I will mention that I'm going to try to run 100 miles each month for the whole month of for the whole year of 2021. And I am going to get to 8 new minor league baseball stadiums.
That is awesome. I might join you on a couple of those. Can I just
sounds great.
Join in? Okay.
For a Helmet Sunday.
Yeah, I love it. I would love to get to Fenway this year, speaking of baseball.
It's a beautiful park. It's a shrine of the game.
Oh, it's just my favorite. Sit on the monster.
This is a dangerous thing that you and I both like baseball because we'll talk about it a lot on this podcast. But this podcast is about interpretation. What are your resolutions for interpretation?
To have 1 million viewers on this channel.
To have 1 million viewers. I thought you were going to say 1 million attendees at our conference in Palm Springs.
And that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to rent out the Coachella, where they host Coachella. That would be an amazing, lofty goal. But Paul, I guess that brings us to the point, like, why do companies and organizations set goals in the first place, right? Goal setting gives you long-term vision and short-term motivation, right? You see in January, February, a lot of companies have their sales kickoffs, right? Where they set their goals for their sales team. And they're usually quantitative, right? So you can actually see the measurement of success. They incorporate things like OKRs, which is objective key results. Professional athletes have them, organizations, companies have them. And I'm curious, with the new leadership here at NAI, what are some of NAI's goals for this year?
I think, well, first of all, we're about to bring in our new executive director, Milward Simpson, who has been on board for a couple of months now. I think, though, to your point, I'm going to suggest that it would be much more fun if in our operations plan, in our staff operations plan this year, if instead of measurable objectives, we just called them New Year's resolutions. I think that would be way more fun.
Well, that's great, because then after about January 30th, everybody forgets about them. And
right. And then you just go back to, eating pretzels for lunch and doing your job like you always did. Hey, let's bring in Milward. Milward, you're our first official guest on S&B. You're our first interview on this new podcast product from NAI.
Fantastic. I knew someday I'd finally make it on SMP.
What is your
Steve
preferred
Kimmel
title?
And Seth Meyers, eat your hearts out.
You had a preferred title that you wanted us to use on your business card. Do you remember what that was?
Oh, was it Ultimate Ruler of All Time, Space, and Dimension?
I believe this is it. Yeah, we're going to get bigger business cards so we can put that on there.
Most of whose duties I delegate to you, Paul.
So Milward, we are talking about New Year's resolutions, but more specifically about goal setting. And we are interested to kind of hear some feedback from you on some goals for NAI, you being the new executive director and all. But first things first, let's talk about you. What intrigued you to apply last fall for the executive director position at NAI?
Well, thanks, Song. I'm so excited at the opportunity to lead this organization. I've been aware of NAI for many, many years. And anytime you have an opportunity to apply to lead an organization with such a strong reputation, that's one thing that attracts you to the opportunity right there. But I've always felt that this field, it would be a tremendous fit for my particular interest and experience. And it turns out that I've been fortunate to have a very diverse career, and I've worked in leadership positions in many of the fields that our members work in. And I think that provides me some kind of really helpful and unique insights into how these different fields function, what the important priorities are, how their leaders think, what their concerns are. I can really kind of relate to how interpretation might fit into various settings. So the fact that I've worked in the arts and humanities fields and the public parks and conservation, it is really, I think, helpful, and one of the things that really attracted me to the opportunity.
Well, that's awesome. We are very excited. Again, I think we've said this a million times, really not exaggerating, that we really are excited to have you on board. But you're coming into this position with NAI during the craziest of times, right? COVID is still very much in full swing, and we're all spending an excessive amount of time at home. So tell us, what are your favorite things about quarantine, and what are the things you miss the most?
Well, my wife's been, like a lot of people, doing a lot of baking. So, the kitchen is very accessible when you're in quarantine, and that's probably overall not a great thing. But quarantine, I see mostly downsides when it comes to how I prefer to work. I prefer to work with people in a setting where you're actually, have opportunities to be face to face as much as possible. I really miss that kind of in-person team environment. So I think that having to be in quarantine is definitely not ideal. I mean, I think we're all very thankful that we have the technology in this day and age to be able to stay connected and continue to do our work. But I do look forward to a point where we can kind of get back to normal, so to speak, or something closer to normal.
So, Milward, do you have any, what our members wanting to get to know you, and they'll have the opportunity to get to know you in our Facebook Live event that we're doing on January 11 at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. They'll have the chance to come on Facebook and ask you some questions, and that will be fun. But just as a sort of preface to that, as a preview to that, tell us about yourself. Do you have any pets or hobbies or fun facts that you'd like to share with the NAI world?
Well, sure. So I was raised in kind of a very musical and theatrical family. And so music and theater has been a big part of my life. And I'm one of these annoying drummers. And I love to drum. I'm a keyboard player and a singer. I've been in a lot of bands, and I've done a lot of things with music. My master's degree project was a rock opera that I collaborated with a good childhood friend of mine in the Denver area. And so I love musical theater, and I love music, and it's a big kind of part of my life. And I come from a very old family in Wyoming. So we have a lot of connections that go way back kind of in Western mythology that are true stories. And I love to talk about it. My great-great-grandfather, William Simpson, was the prosecuting attorney who put Butch Cassidy in the territorial prison in Laramie, Wyoming. And there's just a lot of fun family stories related to our 5 generations in the state of Wyoming.
Millward, in your previous life, you were the, I believe, executive director of the Nature Conservancy. And among other, I mean, your resume is quite impressive. Besides your amazing head of hair and your amazing personality, what skill sets and experiences will you be bringing to NAI?
Well, Song, as I mentioned, I've had the opportunity to work in leadership positions in a number of different fields. And so I have a lot of experience in management, in managing complex budgets and staff complex programs, in cultivating and working with partners across the board. I have a lot of experience working in the state government realm. And Wyoming, when you work in running a state agency in Wyoming, by necessity, you're working with federal partners because we're a land management state. We have half of Wyoming is federal land. So the Bureau of Land Management, the Forest Service, obviously the National Park Service, Fish and Wildlife Service, the Bureau of Reclamation. So I understand our federal partners. I understand how they work. And I still have a lot of connections at fairly high levels in a lot of those realms. So these are the kinds of things that I'm really excited to bring to the table as the executive director of NAI, because I think they open doors. I think the kind of experience that I'm able to kind of leverage on our behalf is going to hopefully put us in the room at important tables that'll help us expand our reach and our influence, and hopefully really help be a benefit to our members.
What are, in your early days here at NAI, what are 3 things that you think the association is doing well?
Well, very clearly, we do, I think, a really wonderful job engaging our members and providing resources and services that make them better at what they do, and also bringing their own skills and expertise to the table so they can benefit their colleagues. There's a great kind of family atmosphere, so to speak, with NAI. People really strongly value their relationship with NAI and feel a strong emotional connection. And those are things that I think are very important, to feel like you're not just isolated at wherever it is that you're practicing your trade, but that you're really connected with a larger community of kind of like-minded people. And the passion for storytelling and the passion for place and the sense of public service and the love of being engaged with the public. These are things that across the board we all have in common. And so NEI does a great job of kind of capturing that, providing a place to leverage that passion to benefit everyone. So I think that's very clearly a strength. And it takes so many different forms. The conferences that we put on, the now more virtual kinds of engagement events that we do, like the webinar series and so forth. And obviously the traditional things we do, like the publications, all of those kind of are ways that NAI really provides this kind of engagement support. So that's one thing I think that's very strong, but certainly something we can build on. I think another thing that we do really well is we are the standard bearer for excellence in our profession. And we provide the form that takes are this excellent variety of professional certification programs. I look forward to becoming a CIG myself. I'm going to commit to doing that this year. And the third thing, and I think it's kind of an emerging thing, in the strategic plan, we've decided to make diversity, equity, inclusion central to how we think about everything we do, from programmatically from an operational standpoint. Certainly diversity, equity, inclusion is a major, major cultural issue, and one that every organization that's worth its salt needs to emphasize. Well, we have aspired to do even more than that. We are saying in our strategic plan that we are going to be, and we aspire to be, the driving force in addressing these issues within our profession. Well, that makes me very proud, and it's going to be very difficult work. But that to me is another strength, that we have the courage and kind of the understanding of what's important in this day and age to put ourselves on the forefront of issues like that. So those are 3 areas where I think we shine.
Obviously, I think Song used the phrase that you were drinking from the fire hose when you started with NAI. You got to attend our first ever virtual conference and then jump right into a board meeting from there. Or I guess the board meeting was first. So you've had a chance to sort of settle down, and even from the comfort of your own home there, to sort of assess what's going on with NAI. What do you think are the areas for growth right now that you'd like to see the organization focus on?
A couple of things that have become really clear to me, Paul, are the need to raise awareness about NAI, to expand our membership, and to find more ways to serve our membership and engage our members. And another one is advocacy. I think it's important that NAI kind of get more into that game. I think it's important that as an organization that supports an entire profession and those that work in the profession, we should be in a position to kind of better raise awareness among the people that really are in positions of authority over whether or not professional interpretation is something that is incorporated in an agency or in a nonprofit organization. We need to help raise awareness and advocate on behalf of our professionals and really help tell their story. about why interpretation is such an effective part of fulfilling a mission, whether it's in a conservation organization setting or a museum or a public park or an aquarium or a zoo or whatever it is. I'm a true believer in the power of interpretation. And I truly feel that, especially in the wake of coming out of an unprecedented, isolating kind of time like this, that the public is really going to hunger more than ever for quote unquote authentic connection to our heritage, to our places, to our history. And it's going to really put a spotlight on what interpreters do so well. And so people in interpretation, I think, are going to be more important now in kind of helping rebuild the connections between us as citizens. And so, that is very, very important. And in order for stakeholders to understand that, we here at NAI need to help spread that message and advocate for that message.
What are some things that you will be implementing in this next year to improve the interpretive community and the advocacy for the profession of interpretation?
Well, thanks, Song. And to that, I would add the members. This is certainly a strategic plan for a professional association needs to reflect what our members are telling us are their needs and their concerns and the issues that matter most to them. And I know that the strategic planning process fittingly did reach out to members for information that helped us decide what the priorities were going to be. I think it's a very strong plan. I think it's aspirational. And I'll kind of just give you my sense of the 30,000 foot of what we're going to try to accomplish. And some of it is going to be more of a ongoing process. And less given to like a strict kind of a deadline or a time frame. Others we might be able to kind of regiment more and say we're going to accomplish X by such and such a date. But generally, we're going to be cultivating our membership. I want to get to a point with NAI that I don't hear people respond to me and say, NAI, what's that? Haven't heard of you guys. I think anybody who works in interpretation needs to know that we exist, needs to know that we bring a lot of value to their profession and that they can get engaged with us. So cultivating membership, supporting our communities, these communities and regions we have seem to be such a wonderful resource. And we have pretty much anything for anyone. If you have a specific interest in something like justice, equity, diversity, access, and inclusion, a brand new section where you can get involved. And I hope a lot of folks consider being part of that. A new section that deals with sustainability. So supporting our communities, making sure that they have ways to thrive and be strong and be responsive to those who are interested in belonging to them. Expanding our market reach, fostering leadership. I think it's an important resource for NAI to bring to our members, that we help them find and have opportunities to step up and be leaders. Expanding the way that we serve our certified guides, our interpretive guides, enhancing our digital networking. Obviously, we're in more of a digital world, and there's going to be more interpretation that's done digitally, more learning that's done digitally. So these are also areas that we've decided to emphasize in the plan. Strengthening our partnerships. I think we have some really strong partnerships and other areas where we could really stand to do more. And so I'm looking forward to kind of identifying who are the partners that we really should have a stronger relationship with, and what's the way that we can make inroads with those groups and organizations. International collaboration, I believe in the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. What's good for the interpretation field all around the world is good right here in any place that any of us work. So we really need to encourage more international collaboration. I hope a lot of people are participating in the North American Forum that we're putting on in February. And then some of the more obvious things, doing everything we can to ensure organizational stability, making sure that we continue to manage our resources in a really robust and appropriate way. We're doing very well in that regard right now, so I want to make sure that we continue to exercise good fiscal management. And then, this really inspiring aspiration for us to be the driving force in inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility in our field. And that is a overall statement of priority that's going to be infused in everything that I've already mentioned, everything that we do. So that's not a big list, right? We can kind of knock a bunch of that out here in the next few months.
Well, so obviously NAI, we're here to serve our members, right? We're here to help grow the profession, and so we're working for our members. But to turn that on its head, what do you feel you need from the community of interpreters to help us succeed as NAI in our goals for the profession?
Well, we need your involvement. We need your engagement. We need your ideas. We need your best practices. We need to know what you've done in the field that's a challenge for you. What are the stumbling blocks? What are the things that you could use help with? What are you noticing about our visitors in this day and age? And what does that imply for how we improve the services that we provide in this field? We need your involvement. We need your membership. We need your feedback. And we need you to be engaged. I've always really believed that what you get out of an organization is what you put into it. So not asking the world, but I'm asking your involvement and your engagement with NAI.
Again, I really liked what you said there, Milward, that rising tides lift all ships. And I love that analogy, and I totally agree with that. And I think that it, as NAI, becomes more, evolves, into not necessarily a bigger organization, but, we're a little more efficient in what we do. You're right. It's just going to elevate everybody, right? All of the members, all of the partners. So I'm really excited about that. And I love that analogy. And you then are the captain of the NAI ship, and we are all your first mates. I think I have a thing with pirate themes. I don't know, Spicy Albro, get on board. Oh my God, he's gonna hate us.
So Milward, thanks so much. It's been great to speak with you. It's been a great first few weeks with you on board here. We're certainly glad to have you here with NAI, and looking forward to great things ahead for the future of the association and the profession.
All right, thanks you guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you for joining us, Milward. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, well, that wraps up this episode of S&P. Don't forget, we have the Forum for Interpretation in the Americas, February 9th through 11th. Registration is open, and later this week, we will be posting the list of presenters. So bloop, register right now.
It's very affordable.
It is $89 US if you were an NAI member. So go get registered. We're really excited to be partnering with our friends in Canada and in Mexico to bring you this fun-filled 3-day conference. Yep. And then InterpTech, save the date.
The InterpTech Summit.
InterpTech Summit. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. April 27th through 29th. Yeah. Also online. Registration will be coming soon, so keep out your little eyeballs for that.
In partnership with our friend and interpretive unicorn, Erin Gates, with California State Parks, who has been a partner in InterpTech for many years. So that one will be fun, April 27, 29, like you said. Later this month, we have a webinar coming up, Create Multi-Levels Within Your Volunteer Corps. So if you are involved in volunteer management, you should come jump on that. Again, our webinars are very affordable. I think $35 for members to register for that webinar. January 19 at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific. And you can find it at interpnet.com/webinars.
Not to be confused with multi-level marketing.
No, create multi-levels within your volunteer corps.
That is awesome. We love our volunteers. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you at our next episode. Hit that subscribe button.
Thank you for joining us.